Hello, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Season 2 premiere of Star Trek Acheron, a Star Trek Adventures 2nd Edition game using the rules by Modiphius Entertainment. My name is ELH the Game Master, and joining me are four lovely individuals who'll meet right away because I am eager to get back into the story, even if I only have the concept of a story for today's session. Any GM who has ever heard those words before knows exactly what I mean. But we will start with Sanctum. Sanctum, anything going on and who are you playing?
Anything going on? Well, that's a good question. It's my birthday next week. I am getting officially very old. And I am playing Captain Soldier, who is the Trill Captain. And I'd like to give a shout out to my compatriot Sir Chunks, who's there in chat right now. And he is an excellent streamer of the variety nature, and I definitely recommend you check out his channel.
Cool, cool. I'll give him a shout out here in a second. Tigdan, what do you got going on?
Hello, Tagdamayo here, and I'm playing Commander Samara, the augmentication from another reality, who is hopefully going to get the chance to fire some more weapons this season, but we'll see what happens. As for what I've got going on, not a lot, just vibing.
Mood. That's a mood. Nam Roko, what do you got going on?
I'm Nam, and I play acting chief engineer Aileen Woburn, still. Still acting, not official. And me personally, I don't have that much going on, but I suppose being in the games industry, I'm gonna shout out the game Expedition 33, which I've been playing a lot, and I can only recommend it for anyone who likes RPG games.
Cool. Shout out to hashtag sponsored, not sponsored. But hey, I do hear it's a good game. I genuinely do hear that it's a very good game. Cool.
I want more threat. Give us threat.
Well, they've already redeemed a good and an evil, and it's on cooldown at the moment, so who knows? Oh, Lord. But Arwen, last but not least, what's going on with you?
Oh, hey, I'm Arwen, and I am playing the enigmatic Elorian civilian scientist named Azrian. And I did a thing. I was very lucky to submit an article to Continuing Missions, and it was published or posted today. So I'm like thrilled beyond belief that they chose to share that, and yeah, it feels good to contribute because I've benefited so much from Continuing Missions, and all the content on there. So it's nice to give back a little bit.
Yeah. And remind me when I do the VOD, I'll try to link to everybody's channel and everybody's game and everybody's article. I'll try to remember, but that's a future me problem. Current me is going to run the shiny new intro that Techno actually updated. So let's see the new intro. And welcome back. Now, normally I would have the players do an opening log, but since we have been off for so long, and since this is the season opener, I thought I would do the narration just to get everybody up to speed. So at the end of last session, at the end of season 1, the Acheron and her crew were able to find a hidden Borg transwarp conduit. And by using this conduit in, shall we say, haphazard form, because it wasn't the best use of the conduit, but it was still a use of it, the Acheron was able to get much closer to home. Before, it was like a 3 to 5 year journey. Now it is only a 1 year journey to the Bajorn wormhole within the Gamma Quadrant. And on top of that, you all finally have heard from home that you have gotten in contact with Starfleet. You've had a chance to reconnect with loved ones, family, friends, the whole 9 yards. And overall, the ship is abuzz in excitement and in sort of raised spirits. The leaders of departments, you're noticing a notable uptick in performance and metrics. You're noticing that people are smiling a lot more. Those of you of the psychic persuasion are noticing that the overall mood is very positive. But before we really go too far into that, the players have requested a very specific scene between the Vulcan Ta'an and Azrian. And my question, since Sanctum and Arwen are playing those characters, if I remember correctly, was this in Azrian's quarters or was this in Ta'an's quarters?
This would probably be... let's just say it's in Azrian's quarters.
Okay. So why don't you describe what that scene looks like? Because I know this was something where you wanted to do some kind of mind meld of some sort, but I'd rather hear the details from you than me try to haphazardly explain it.
Okay. Well, I was just thinking I probably approached or sent a message to An requesting that we meet at some point. And Ta'an, probably being proactive, would show up at my quarters, and I guess we would go from there.
Okay.
So there's a chime at your door.
Come in.
The door's open, and Ta'an is there. She's a medium-height female Vulcan of indeterminate age, youngish looking, approximately the same sort of age as Vobon. She's got elaborate red hair for a Vulcan, in that it's not just a bowl cut. It is styled and attempts to emulate sort of a human sort of hairstyle, and so it's she's got like a bit that falls over. It's very illogical for a Vulcan to wear their hair like this, because it's actually interfering with their vision in some ways. And but there's reasons why she wears such things, and she's wearing her usual science uniform. And she comes in and sort of looks at Azrian and looks around.
Okay, and I did, Ta'an. So first of all, Azrian's quarters are like crazy stuffed with stuff. He has like it's very Guinan-esque, but more of a scientific bent. Like there's like old scrolls laid everywhere, and it's a bit untidy. And there's a big table where he does tarot card readings and stuff like that in the middle. And there's all kinds of scientific like pads with scientific journals and astrological maps. And it's dark, it's lit by candles. And there's a holographic projection of a sky, like a mini astrometrics, just on the ceiling. And my characters changed their look a little bit. They've changed their hairstyle. It's much more longer braids. He has a hat similar to Guinan's, but it looks like wicker and it's 3D printed. And he's dressed a little more formally now that he's been on the ship for a while. So he's wearing like a wrap, like a I don't know how to describe it. I just lost my train of thought there. But it's a more formal black outfit with a very colorful cut, like diagonal cut in the jacket. Anyway, so it's like, Ta'an, you didn't have to come down here. I would have come to you. I know this is the time on your schedule that you put aside that you allot for the inefficiencies of non-Vulcans bothering you with things. Thank you for coming to see me.
You
Would you care
are
to?
a non-Vulcan, and therefore this time is set aside for individuals such as yourself.
Well, that's true. Thank you nonetheless. I wanted to have a long overdue conversation with you about what happened on the with the Bavarians, and being under the influence of the bliss and the events that happened there. Um, I owe you an amends. Um, I said uh, I said some things that weren't accurate, that I knew would be button pushing, and even though I was under the influence of the bliss, it simply wasn't. It wasn't a good thing. It wasn't a positive, constructive thing to do. And I'd love to say it was just the influence of the bliss, but unfortunately, I'm imperfect, and uh, I, I insulted you. I purposely pushed your buttons, as the humans are fond of saying, and that wasn't okay. And I want to live my life better, and try to figure out how I can mend this relationship between the two of us, and move forward.
It would be illogical for me to hold a grudge, as the humans would put it.
Illogical, sure. Understandable. Um, and amends are really part of my recovery process. It's important for those of us who are living with an addiction, to connect with people that we've wronged and right those wrongs. And I wanted to offer you the chance to help me come up with a way where I could make up for what I've done. For example, I insulted your mind melting ability, and that wasn't right. I'm sure you are an expert practitioner in mind melds, and I was purposely evasive, and I didn't show you the trust that you deserved.
It looks at you very coolly. Some might say frosty for even a Vulcan. And she raises an eyebrow. And then after a pause, she says, Asrian, I am not offended. For that would I am. What's gone on? Oh, Forge has gone down. Has it gone down for anybody else?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's fine. It's not me then. And everyone's still there. That's fine. We can continue. It's fine.
Yeah, we can continue. Who needs Foundry?
Yeah. Who needs the game system?
I have some
So,
real
yes,
dice
anyway.
somewhere.
She says, I'm not offended. For to be offended would mean that I was I'm filled with emotion, which I am clearly not. However, I have concerns. And those concerns are that you and whatever you are experiencing did endanger the mission. And this, I feel, is what you are experiencing. It is not a grudge. It is a mistrust of where your emotions have led you.
Thank you for that clarification. I think those observations are valid. I'm not necessarily sure I would trust someone who behaved the way I did either. From my part, taking ownership of that misstep, taking ownership of the wrongs that I've committed, and putting steps in place to reduce the chance that they'll happen again is, from my perspective, one of the ways I can rebuild that trust. Can you think of anything else that would help?
Just need to genuinely consider what you're saying, and you get the impression, and you would understand this, knowing your empathic ways, just not from an ability sense, but just from your long experience of these things, is that she is actually still holding a grudge and doing that thing that Vulcans do, where they profess that they don't have any emotions, would never do such a thing, and then do the exact opposite. She sort of looks at you and looks around your room, kind of taking it all in, and then looks back at you and says, I do not wish to join minds with you, if that is what you are suggesting. That is a thing that should only be done between those who are intimate with one another, or close family members, or close, or situations where it is of dire need. And from what Vauban tells me, and what I am told by the rest of the crew, is that you are in a position of trust. And if the captain wishes to keep you in your position, then who am I to call into question the captain's judgment? She says, arching an eyebrow slightly.
That's gracious of you and eminently logical. I appreciate what you're saying. And I also think that maybe over time, those I have wronged will see why the captain has placed their faith in me.
I ask you, though, do you consider that this is something that may occur again?
Well, as a scientist, you can never say that something has zero chance of happening, because the universe likes to surprise us. You would probably be better at calculating the odds than I. I would say that I am doing my very best to work within the steps of my addiction recovery to have the tools that I need to reduce the chance that this will happen again significantly.
There is a human saying, lighting never strobes twice.
Well, that's a fallacy.
She looks at you and says, is there a way that I can perform some sort of overture that will clear the air for you? Because I understand that you will have emotions and feelings on this matter that need to be resolved.
How about this? I recommend that we put a plan in place where we recognize what the symptoms are of me going amiss, if I go amiss again, under the influence of the bliss again. And then we outline steps that we mutually agree upon that could be taken to prevent me from affecting the mission of this ship adversely.
I'm smiling because I'm thinking what she's going to say, and I know what she's got in mind, and it's funny, but she wouldn't smile. She says, "Are you granting me permission to incapacitate you if you begin to act erratically?"
We could incorporate that into the formal plan. Yes. We need to define the parameters of acting irrationally.
Then that is a sound plan. If you can give me a detailed list of what constitutes erratic behavior on your behalf, then if I notice these particular signs, I will incapacitate you with the nerve pinch.
Very well. I can imagine that Ta'an not allowing herself to smile, but in the back of her mind, she's like, I get to write a report. I get to write a report. It's like, I always think.
She's more amused. Well, I'm amused. It's the kind of glee that she's got that she could just go, are you behaving erratically? Nerve pinch.
Nerve pinch. Yep. I always think back to one of my favorite lines from Lower Decks that Talin had when she was talking about, I do appreciate a well-labeled sample. Where they're talking about labeling samples, scientific samples. Anyway, that sounds agreeable, Ta'an.
Then I await your list of parameters, for which I am looking forward to as much as I possibly can.
It looks like I have some homework to do. Also, I wanted to say, would you hand me that box over there?
She looks round and goes, which box?
Oh, it's the big one next to the slightly smaller one.
There appear to be many boxes with many accoutrements.
Yes.
And she passes you the box.
Thank you. And
I
you
spend
don't
2
mind
threat that you open up the box and there's a cat inside that box.
Oh.
It's a big old long-haired black cat. And it meows. It's very cute.
Well, that wasn't there before. I do collect so many. So Azrian has this look of recognition on his face for a moment. And then the recognition passes to like a more neutral expression. Thank you so much, Ta'an. I collect so many things. I better make sure that this creature gets the nourishment it needs. I'll get that list to you, and I'm like ushering her out the door.
She says, "How does one collect a feline?"
Oh, I've traveled extensively here and there, and I get lonely, and sometimes I need company, and I just have so much in my brain, I just forget sometimes. And felines are very self-sufficient.
And then the doors close, and she's forced outside.
Yeah. I'll get that report to you, and then I'll spin around on my heel.
She's just sort of. There's a moment of, as Vulcan as she can be, in a Vulcan way, just what the fuck just happened, and then she just goes off.
And at the door, I will spin around at my heel and look down at the cat. Meow. I'll say, it's been a long time.
Cat meows back at you. Meow.
Mm-hmm. Now, what situation? He picks up the cat, or tries to pick up the cat. Does the cat allow?
Oh, yes. It's very big. It's very fluffy.
Okay. And I will hold it. I will cradle it with one arm and stroke its head with the other. Hold it against my body, my chest. Now, and I'll sit down at my tarot card reading table. Now, what situation has caused you to darken my doorstep after all this time?
just looks at you with those big kitty eyes and tilts its head and goes, meow?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Not feeling particularly talkative today, huh?
Meow.
Meow. Right. Well, make yourself at home.
Cat hops out of your arms, starts going around every box, starts knocking things off shelves, standard cats things.
Mm-hmm. 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 Great. Great. Cool. Cool. Um, okay. This is a lot to process. I have a cat.
Yeah, congratulations. Perhaps the best threat spend I could ever done is to give the players a cat. No, okay, so this is a small tangent, but once I was playing D&D, right? And it was a joke item. I'm like, I guess you find a plushy owlbear in the loot pile. I shit you not, the amount of infighting over that stupid owlbear plush, like they almost came to like full PvP blows over who got the plush.
Oh my god.
It was beautiful. In any case, let's check in with Samara and Vauban. We'll start with Vauban on this instance. So Vauban, are you on duty or off duty, and where might you be at this hour on the ship? It's kind of towards the end of beta shift, going into gamma.
Okay, so I am currently sitting in front of the entrance of a Jeffrey's tube shaft, and like kind of squirming, and it's open, and I have a toolkit, but I don't want to go in. But there's stuff to do. So yeah, so Vauban is like just mentally spinning in circles right now.
Okay. And you, if hey, I think Forge is back. See if everybody can get back into Forge.
Working on it.
But there should be, where is it? I'm finding it in my notes. It was Shifty, right? Shifty is the Tellarite
Yes.
engineer I tortured you with. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So Shifty, making no noise as he kind of just walks up behind her and goes, so are you doing the required maintenance, or are you trying to avoid me?
No, I'm not avoiding you. No, I just, I wanted to check the EPS conduits, but, and she hesitates. Because, well, for the players, Vauban is actually claustrophobic. So she doesn't really like the Jeffrey's tubes. So she's been avoiding that and not Shifty. But yes.
Well, if you sit there with the Jeffrey's tubes open, you're going to let all the air out, or some silly human thing to say. Why am I even saying this? You're a Trill. Why am I saying such things?
I don't think there's a breach in the tubes.
No,
Is there?
but there is always that chance that somebody will get into the tube and then they'll go to a recess in a junction and then they'll start playing a flute for some reason.
A flute?
Yes, it was a thing on the Enterprise. Some Picard and his watery tot or whatever he was cavorting with. I don't know. I don't read the Enterprise logs. Yes,
But,
he did
yeah.
he did literally just call it certain someone.
She is, Vauban is just looking at Shifty, kind of confused. But anyway, did you need me for something?
Well, I was going to tell you that there was an issue with the lateral EPS conduit, but I handled it myself, so this is me reporting the report.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. It doesn't happen to be the conduit I was going to go check on, right?
No, this was Deck 3, Section 4.
Ah, she like kind of says, "Damn it," under her breath.
But Shifty, in classic French Tellarite fashion, is going to just sort of leave. He doesn't say goodbye. He doesn't end the conversation. He just leaves because that's Shifty. But as you sit there on the precipice there of trying to overcome your claustrophobia and get into the Jeffries tube, you hear laughter, but it's not like a cruel laugh, and it's not like oh, this is I'm going insane laugh. It's just sort of like a nice sort of like childish laugh where, kids are playing or kids are having fun kind of a laugh. And when you look around, like you maybe look down the Jeffers tube and when you look back in the corridor, there are no kids. In fact, there are no children anywhere aboard the Acheron.
That's not ominous at all. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay. So is it coming from the Jeffries tube then?
What I would say is it's not coming from the Jeffries tube. It just sort of seems to be coming from behind you in the corridor. But again, you look, nothing.
Okay. So, Vauban talking to herself, the tube or the creepy children laughter? The tube or the creepy children laughter? Let's go for the creepy children laughter. she takes one. She takes one of the hypospanners, like maybe one of the heavier tools, just in case, and cautiously looks around. Looks around the side of the corridor.
All right. You look left. You look right. You look ahead. You look behind you. Still no kids. In fact, you don't even see Shifty. Shifty made a very quick exit.
Like there's nobody at all around either, right?
Nope.
I assume.
Nope. And yeah, I should clarify that when I say there's no kids, like there just aren't any children on the Acheron. When it got launched into the Delta Gamma Quadrant, it had no kids aboard. So.
But also there's no people in the corridor itself, like right now.
Correct.
It's eerily quiet. Besides the laughing.
Well, the laughter stopped. It's not continuing. It only was there for like 4 to 5 seconds, and then it just stopped.
Okay. So Vauban rubs her eyes for a second. I was sure I got enough sleep.
Well, while Vauban is having an existential crisis, let's check in on Samara. Samara, again, it's kind of the end of beta shift, beginning of gamma. Where are you and what are you doing?
She's currently sort of looming over Ebolian, who has a broken arm and is being tended to by a medical team in the middle of the holodeck because she was running a training drill. And she just turns to everybody and says, I know I told you to put in a little bit more effort with these exercises, but I can fight a Gorn. You can't. What I want you to try and develop is more critical thinking skills. Think outside the box and try and adapt to threats. That would be really good for a good distraction. However, even in training, you still could get hurt. Just think about that a little bit more. Right. Everybody back to training.
Well, and I think the Bullion, whose arm is being fixed, kind of looks up to you and smiles and goes, well, I thought it was a really good distraction. When I ran out and said, eat me, and then I ran really fast and screaming like bloody murder. I mean, the Gorn went after me for a little bit.
The Gorn went after you for a little bit, and then he ran straight into a bulkhead.
I mean, that bulkhead, it came out of nowhere. Easy mistake.
Easy mistake, sure. I'm not saying what you did was wrong. I am saying situational awareness. If you're going to at least try not to die, don't die via broken arm, falling back onto your back and getting eaten. Gorns are lovely people in the right circumstances. When they're trying to eat you, they're not so lovely. I will tell you firsthand, a Gorn is incredibly strong. They give some of the best massages in the entire galaxy from my personal experience. And Duranium is still Duranium, so if you run up against it, ow!
Okay, follow-up question. Don't we actually have Gorn that works on Deck 23? I don't know their name, but I'm pretty sure we have a Gorn crewman.
Oh yeah, we do, but the difference is he's a science officer and he's perfectly peaceful. I mean, like I say, in our society there are Gorn aren't common, but they have masseuses, they have doctors, they have nurses, they have scientists.
Oh, the robots got Tig Dam. Yeah,
And
Tig
that was
Dam,
after
you were roboting pretty hard for us.
Ooh, what's that? That better?
Yeah, that's better.
Right, as I was saying, one of the best massages I ever got was from a Gorn. They have lovely hands. They can hurt you without meaning to, and this is a combat drill. Look ahead.
I will look for bulkheads that are hiding behind very tall bushes and behind very small rocks.
This is a copy of Deck 6. You work on Deck 6.
Bullion just looks at you like, I've got nothing for you, Chief.
Don't worry, we all mess up, but, you know, how's he doing, Doc? And she just looks at one of the generic ensigns beside him that is fixing him up.
Well, the nurse, because we do have to have a new nurse. Let's make her a Klingon because we need more variety. We'll say she's a Klingon nurse because that's exciting and fun. But she sort of sighs, packs up her toolkit, and says, I am sorry to report that he will not be joining the halls of Storvikor.
Yes, well, we're already short-handed. He can die later, at least.
But today is always a good day to die.
You die when I tell you to die, not before.
She just sort of looks at you and goes, is there any other infirmities or weaknesses that I should handle while I'm in here? I did bring my batleth as well.
Ooh, if you brought your batleth, when's the last time you had a chance to have some fun?
Are you suggesting that I show these people what a Klingon warrior is like compared to a Gorn?
How about you and me give a bit of a demonstration of what can happen when true warriors let loose?
And I think she does that Klingon really like Gowron smile in the eye thing and puts her toolkit down and pulls out a batleth from hammer space and goes, very well, I accept your challenge.
Yeah, the ring's in there. Computer, make a ring.
And we've, of course, reached the quintessential episode of every one of my Star Trek Adventures games where somebody fights the security chief. Doesn't matter who it is, doesn't matter what game it is, somebody always fights the security chief. Always happens, and I love it. So, the way this is going to work, Samara, is we are going to treat it like a standard sort of daring security opposed. The base difficulty is a 1, but we also are going to be a little bit different because this is 2nd edition rather than it being 1st edition. So what I mean by that is if you are able to win out, then you do some damage and stress and the whole thing. But if they win, they have to spend threat to counterattack you instead. And that applies to you that if the Klingon attacks you and you win, you have to spend 2 momentum to counterattack. It's a change. Used to be automatic in 1st edition. Now in 2nd edition, you have to spend momentum to counterattack, which I don't know how I feel about it, but we'll figure it out together. But as you know, the ring is formed and you step in and I quickly try and generate a cool Klingon name. I'll give her a stat of 13. She's rolling beneath a 13 and she crits on a 3 or lower. But since you are technically the player, you do get to act first. You don't have to do a daring security coming in first, but if you want to attack her, it is a daring security.
Oh, it's going to be daring security. She's just going to get ready, look at everybody, and say, now, you don't get to see us having fun often. Enjoy the show. And she is just going to go in, claws out, because obviously it's claws versus batleth, but she is an augment, and she does actually have the claws as a weapon, so we're going to use that. Seeing if I've got anything for a focus. Team dynamics, because she's, affecting, trying to, adjust to her team, trying to show off to the team a little bit.
I'll give it to you, sure.
Okay.
And we'll see if Foundry has recovered from its derping.
It's a bit broken.
Yeah, it's a little slow.
It's showing one success on my screen.
I do see it now. Yes, it came across. Okay. So, I am now going to roll for her. You know what? I've got 10 threat. I'm going to spend one of it just to give her 3 dice. All right, let's expand out that 37. That is a 12, a 12, and a 13. And as I said, she is a 13 or lower. So that is actually 3 successes, which means that Samara, as you kind of come in with your claws, the Klingon warrior, whose name is Kagach, daughter of Kakloth. You should be able to see her under supporting characters now. But Kagach kind of does the stereotypical circling of the batleth with the wrist. And then right as you come in, she uppercuts you and is going to immediately spend the 2 threat she generated to cause an injury on you. Now, since this is the first time I think we've done this as a group, the way this works is you have the option of either taking stress damage and you just sort of take stress and we continue on, or you become injured. Injured means you are out of the fight, and if this was like a lethal thing, I'd have to spend threat to target you again. But this is just a friendly bout. But what I will tell you is that stress does not come back very easily, at least in normal circumstances. It's one of those things where you have to take like a long rest, to use a D&D term, to get stress back.
Right. Samara does have protection 2. Let
me check. What do you have
Durability.
resistance to for is the question. Is it just
everything? It's physical.
Everything.
Everything basically. It just says in the skill you've got protection 2.
Okay. So instead of it being 4 stress damage, you would only take 2 stress damage if you so wished.
I'll take the stress.
Okay. So again, Kagach just sort of does the batleth upper thrust and catches you under the chin. And I'm imagining it that you're kind of doing the Cation thing where you follow suit as you go up with your head, where you kind of do this cool backflip and you land, and all the security officers and the other officers are just like, yeah, go Samara, go Kagach, yeah, woo! And then somewhere in the back, someone's like, I got 10 Latinum on the Chief. Well, I got 10 Latinum on the Klingon, and a betting ring has started to form.
Yeah, she's letting that prehensile tail do all its things and spin around, and she just smirks. It's the first time she's had a chance to actually let go of several months' worth of stress, so she's going in for this. So to counterattack, I think you said spend 2 momentum?
If you succeed the opposing roll, because now it's passed from your turn to her turn, so now she is going to roll her own daring security. Again, she is rolling underneath a 13, crits on a 3 or lower. And, you know what, I'll give her another threat because you said you wanted a challenge, so I will provide you one. All right, 43, not great. That is a 14, a 10, and a 19. So she has achieved 1 success, but if you want to be able to counterattack, I need to see 2 successes from you.
Right, you know what? I think I'm going to... Do I do that now? You know what? Sod it. This is the first time Samoa's had a chance to actually let loose, so she's going to blow determination.
Nice.
For a bit of fun. Because several months worth of stress, she's going to get it all out there. So, she's going to use always expect the unexpected. And she's going to tie that in. She also has the talent of prehensile tail, so always expect the unexpected. She's going to do a tail swipe to try and trip her.
Samara used Tail Whip. We'll see if it's effective. Oh, Lord. All right, 3 successes mean you do get 2 momentum back. Now, if you want to counterattack, that's where you spend the 2 momentum you just got to counterattack.
Yeah. We'll counterattack that. We'll spend the 2 momentum.
So you would stay at 2, because you just generated 2, and you had 2 in the pool, so you would stay at 2.
Yeah.
But the good news is that because I want this to be interesting, I do have to spend threat equal to the injury you are inflicting. So let me look at your character sheet. This is 3 damage, and she is a Klingon. Because Klingons have... Let me just check one thing real quick. Because I believe Klingons also have protection, but let me verify.
Is it 1//roll 1d20 for veteran?
/R space 1d20.
Thank you.
All right, Klingon. They have 1 protection. Very good. So what that's going to mean is I have to spend 2 threat, but we got a real fight going on now. We have a fight. This is a fight. And because I want to rope in everybody else at this point, Arwen, the cat, finally stops knocking things off, shelves and stops being a cat and just looks at you and says, "We'll talk later, but you really should go down to holodeck 3. They're having a fight."
Okay. He will stop. He's packing a box, and he will sigh and be like, "Okay," and I'll look at the cat and he'll say, "But don't think this is changing my plans.
Yeah.
The Nexus is coming through this sector or near here this year. I've done what I can for this crew. I don't plan on hanging around unless you have a compelling reason not to." And then he'll leave the quarters and go. He'll put he'll get a saucer of milk out of the replicator, put it down, and then head toward the holodeck.
Okay. Now we check on Mr. Soja. Soja, you have been doing Soja things when you get a alert from the ship AI that Morpheus is fighting Neo.
Soja was indulging in watching Strategio, or whatever it's called.
Strategema, yeah.
Yes.
And he was just about to watch the finale of the current heats. And as per usual, he never gets to watch the end because there's always something which interrupts him. So he puts down his pad and goes, "What is happening? Computer, explain."
Samara and Kagat, son of Kakloth, are fighting. Recreationally, of course. But you did say to alert you if any of your officers engaged in long-form combat.
Computer, identify the officers currently in the area of the combat.
And the computer lists off a name of like 15 to 20 individuals who you would have known Samara was leading through an exercise earlier.
So the most senior officer who isn't currently involved in this fight, I'm going to contact. Should we say it's just Yeehaw?
Sure, yeah, we can say it's Yeehaw.
So,
oh yeah, Captain. What can I do for you?
Hey, didn't we kill Yeehaw?
No, Yeehaw's
No.
alive. No, he's alive.
No.
Oh, he's alive. Okay.
The doctor.
That was the
All right.
doctor.
Zilka
I just
died.
love that you just interject. Didn't he die?
I
don't know
just
why
wanted
that's...
to make sure we were on point with our canon.
No,
Go
I
on.
appreciate
Avoid-
it. Thank you.
Yeah, he avoided having a overloaded phaser thrown at him.
Very good.
So he
Okay.
was going to die and then survived.
Yeah, no, he's good. He's good. But no, yeah. So, Captain, what can I do for you?
What is happening?
Well, one of them cool Klingon nurses came by, and Samara looked at her funny, and then the Klingon smiled in that Klingon fashion, and now they're having a friendly bout in the ring. Would you like to get in? We have currently 5-3 odds on Samara.
What?
Well, Latinum, our little stipend we get from Starfleet every once in a while. I know we don't have any Latinum aboard, but a lot of the crew figure by the time we get back, we're due for pay.
Soldier out. And he stands up and races down to the holodeck.
Oh, and now poor Vauban. Vauban, you've done your best to locate the source of the children laughing. You have found no indication that there ever was children laughing. You've run many, many tricorder scans. You have asked the computer. The computer has been unable to help you. But
So I just assume that I'm just tired, and the coffees, plural, that I had are not doing their job.
right. But as you are packing up and moving to a different location, you actually almost run into a couple of officers running down the corridor towards the holodeck. And that one of them stops and goes, Vauban, you gotta come. Samara's fighting somebody. We gotta see this.
Fighting?
Yeah, they're doing some bout or something. It was that cool Klingon woman, the nurse. What was her name? Kagloth? I don't know, but they're fighting, and that sounds cool.
Oh, thank God. Like, for a moment, she was panicked and thought it was a bliss situation again. And she thinks for a moment and... well, I mean, it seems that I am in need of a break anyway, so she follows.
Okay. Now everybody else can enter the scene as they deem appropriate, because I always like to have people involved on this. And for the record, in case you actually do want to bet Latinum, I'm double checking my notes, but I'm pretty sure the security chief has won 6 out of 8 bouts when this has happened in my game. So Samara is currently the favorite to win. So just keep that in mind if you are going to bet on her. But we return to Samara, and we return to our lovely Klingon warrior. And Samara, it is now your turn. What are you going to do with Kagach? Are you just going in for another claw? Are you going in for another tail? What are you doing?
Well, she used the tail to knock her off balance, and now it is claws directly to the side of the head.
Ah, okay. All right, well, that's your standard daring security.
I'm still going to use team dynamics because we are messing around and trying to encourage the group. You know what? Let's make it fancy. Anybody mind if we take another momentum?
Go ahead.
Right.
Okay, 3 successes, which means if I want to counterattack, I need to get 4. I'll make it interesting. I'll spend 3 threat. Why not? And I will roll for Kagach, daughter of Kakloth, who actually now has a semblance of a sheet, so that's exciting. And you just got a momentum from chat. Congratulations. And there it is. She gets 4 successes, and she is going to counterattack you. So you are going to take another 2 stress damage. So I believe you are down to 7 at the moment. Or unless you're counting up, depending on how you would do it on your character sheet. But
yeah, that's fine.
And I guess, again, you have the option of going down as injured. But again, it's a non-lethal injury if you were choosing to go down.
Oh no, she's at this point. She's the battle lust is getting to her a bit. She's enjoying it. Doesn't matter that she's the one getting hit.
Okay. And actually, I think that that might actually be a beautiful moment if Soja walks in on that. So Soja, you walk in.
Exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah. So Soja, you walk in expecting to see Samara beating up on some poor ensign, but what it is Kagach, daughter of Kakloth, who I will keep saying her full title because it's funny to me. Kagach, daughter of Kakloth, has once again deflected Samara's attack and has flung her to the ground in one of those sweeping bat lift sort of motions across the chest. Now, at this point, Samara is a little bit battered, a little bit bruised, but everybody's cheering. Everybody is passing out strips of, bedding strips and everything. And one of the ensigns sees you walk in. And Soja, how pissed are you on a scale from 1 to 10?
9 million.
9 million. So the ensign goes, okay. Oh, shit, Captain. Hi, Captain. Hi.
What in the 3 realms of Phasos is happening in here?
Bobon pipes up. It's a bet. Like a fighting bet. That's not bad, is it?
And I think those that are closest to the door are like shrinking away from the captain. Like, sorry, sir. Sorry.
You are all Starfleet officers. I will not have such a blatant display of lack of discipline. You two, stand down now.
Whoop.
Yep. And I think, obviously, Kagach, daughter of Kakloth, does stand down. Says, Captain, we were not engaged in any wild form combat. Samara merely wished to duel. Not to the death, just simply a martial prowess exercise.
Hello, Captain. It's not as bad as it appears. After all,
tell me.
Being able to... It's been a while since these crewmen have actually seen a proper fight. Some of them have never been in a proper fight. And I can't train with too many of them without the risk of hurting them. So, a demonstration of skill against somebody who can actually take a hit and allowing them to have a little bit of, shall we say, team building on the side is hardly an issue in my eyes. The nurse is trained medical staff.
He interrupts and goes, who here is on duty?
And I think those that were part of the training exercise do raise their hands that were originally part of the training exercise, but everybody else who wasn't part of the original holographic program is off duty at this point, so they don't raise their hands.
I mean, Vauban kind of raises her hand.
Oh no, poor Vauban. Oh no.
I'm gonna get off in 10 minutes. Does that count?
Soldier is absolutely livid, and he's trying to there's this moment where there's a flash across his face of indecision, and then he goes straight into military. I am going to deal with this way, and he just launches in on an absolute tirade against everybody in this place for breach of discipline, for all kinds of things that they've done wrong. But he all does it from a very specific. He is military trained. They should not be doing these things, and they are. So therefore, he is gonna lay on not a single person in this room gets away with their presence here, and he will blast every single one of them, and he will name every single one of them as he talks to them, and he will give people the biggest dressing down they've ever experienced, and he's going to do it publicly to every single one.
Nice. All right, well, because I think this is funny, at least to me, why don't you give me a presence command and difficulty of 1?
Oh, he's going to absolutely blast these people.
And Samara would like to get I think we're calling it the Troy channel in the game, so she'd like to get a general vibe of everybody, and especially the captain, while this is happening. She knows the captain's angry, but she kind of want to figure out where this is coming from.
I'm gonna steal the point of I want. Right.
I would say you would have a focus in composure, sorta, maybe.
or lack of.
Okay, hey, you get 2 momentum. All right. So yeah, Soja, you are laying into these officers. They are, of course, bowing their heads and apologizing and do the standard thing. But I'm actually going to say Vauban here because I feel bad for Vauban. So you're going down the line, dressing down in turn. You haven't gotten to Samara yet. You haven't gotten to Kagath or Kagoth. I'll remember her name eventually. You haven't gotten to the Klingon, haven't gotten to Vauban, but you walk right up to Vauban, taking a deep breath, and then everybody in the room, I'm assuming Asrian has arrived at this point, but everybody in the room hears child's laughter. Again, it's not cruel laughter. It's not, like, oh, ha ha ha, I'm nervously laughing. This is like a child is playing, a child is having fun kind of laughter. It lasts for about 5 seconds, and then it stops.
And Vauban kind of ignores it at first because she thought she was just imagining it, but I assume that then she realizes that everyone else also stopped talking and says, wait, you all heard that?
Yes. Immediately take out a tricorder from the folds of my clothing.
Okay.
Oh my god, so I wasn't hallucinating.
Well, it could be let's not draw any conclusions yet, Lieutenant. And I will scan the room.
Okay.
With the tricorder.
Well, this is definitely a reason. The question is it a science or a medicine? I'll make it a science. Why not? Let me consult your focuses here. You do have a focus. I'm not going to tell you which one, but you do have a focus here. The difficulty, however,
I know which one.
Yeah, the difficulty will be a 3, though.
All right. Well, I would like to spend 1 of our momentum to give me an extra die.
Okay.
Yeah, for it.
To make it an even roll. And we'll see how this goes.
Can I interrupt just briefly?
Sure.
Out of character. That considering that Kagash completely trashed Samara, and I like the implication that the nurse, out of all people, is the strongest fighter we got on the ship.
Mm-hmm. No, I think we're going to see more of Kagach, daughter of Kakloth, in the future.
Yep.
Here's my roll.
A worthy opponent's a worthy opponent. Yeah. No hard feelings.
All right, 3 successes. So, Asrian, you notice 2 things. The first is that everybody's brain is being not manipulated, but there is definitely some heightened sort of activity in the hippocampus, whatever this part of the brain is that deals with emotions. I'm not a medical person. I don't know. Case in point, everybody's emotions are heightened, is what you're seeing. The second thing is that these brain waves, these theta brain waves, are being projected across the entire ship. It's not just limited to the holodeck. It is apparently across every single deck, every single nook and cranny. But to make this abundantly clear, this is not the Bliss. This is not anything that you would know. You just know that this is a wave of theta brain waves, if that makes any sense.
Okay. May I spend another momentum to ask a question?
Sure.
Great. So the question I'm going to ask is, what are there any known species or phenomenon that would generate these beta waves?
I would say that these are not something you would be familiar with, at least not even with all your travels. But then you think for a moment and you go, hold on. Theta waves, what are those used for? And you realize that theta waves, at least as far as I'm defining them, theta waves are usually used for collective creatures like insects and other sort of hive structures, if you get what I'm trying to hint at here.
Right. Okay. So because I have the studious talent, when I spend a momentum to obtain information, I get one additional question.
Yup.
All right. So the additional question is, have we registered any? Is this coming? Is this emanating from space or subspace?
This is emanating from space. In fact, because you spent the momentum to ask the question, you're going to detect that it is coming from one of the moons that you're passing by.
Okay. All right. Because I have the rapid hypothesis talent, when I ask 2 or more questions using obtain information, I can immediately create a trait representing a theoretical understanding of the subject of those questions.
Uh-huh.
So I would like to make the trait for this I'd like to make the trait for everyone theta wave aware.
Okay.
Theta wave awareness.
The trait has been made.
Okay. He will fold up his tricorder and he will motion with his finger to Vauban and to Samara and to Soja and to the Klingon nurse.
Okay. Oh, my real cat says hello.
We've all been affected by a theta wave burst, which is usually generated as part of collective communication among insect-like creatures. It does not resemble the bliss, and it seems to be emanating from a moon that we passed recently.
Soldier takes a deep breath and in, out, and he is much calmer, more collected, stony faced once more, and he turns round and looks at Asrian. And there's still a fire in his eyes. You can tell this is gonna last. But at least he presents himself as more collected. And he says, have we picked up some kind of extraterrestrial entity, a hitchhiker?
I would have to run further scans, Captain.
Do it.
Okay.
Assemble a team.
It is possible it came from the moon. And it could just be a communication attempt. I think we're all a little hyped up right now. So maybe we need to take a beat, especially with our experience with the bliss, and try to approach this objectively, sir.
Everybody to your stations. And he heads to the bridge.
And once he's gone, Samara just turns to Kagash and goes, Kagash, excellent fight. I'd love to try that again with you at some point. Klingons don't break easy, and unfortunately, some of the others do. You can take a real punch. I'm impressed.
Well, I mean, I did train under my mother. She was the champion of the regional bout back on Kronos.
And with blood still coming out of her mouth, she just grins and goes, fantastic.
Anyway, you want me to handle that
to
for
stations
you?
Yes, please.
Takes out a dermal regenerator, runs it over your mouth. I wasn't able to stop all the bleeding, but that should help.
My thanks. Anyway, everybody heard the captain. The stations, and be a bit mindful. Apparently, we're all being affected by something, so... As before, keep your minds to yourselves. Keep your thoughts in, and just focus on what you're doing. Just the same as before. This could be friendly, or we could be up against it again. Hopefully it's the former, not the latter. Anyway, to stations, everybody.
We do the 80s, 70s cartoon, and we emerge on the bridge. And sure enough, at this point, Azrian, you've slipped into science. Vauban, if you want to be on the bridge, you can slip into the ops station. And at this point, I'm going to give it to you for free. You can confirm on sensors that there was a theta burst from the moon you passed by not an hour ago.
Well, the theta burst seems to have confirmed to come from the moon, Captain. What do we know about this moon?
I mean,
Sorry,
at
I cut you
first,
off.
no, you're good. What I would say real quick is that, as far as you're able to tell, this is a Class L moon, barely habitable by standard rating, but it didn't have any higher life. It didn't have anything on regular scans, so you just kind of marked it down and kept going.
I will relay all that information to the bridge.
Ensign Yacket, I want you to plot a course back to the moon.
Okay, setting course now, sir. How quickly you want us to be there?
Leisurely.
Can you clarify, sir? Because I'm a Cardassian. When you say leisurely, that tells me I need to be there immediately.
We're in no rush.
Well, again, sir, you're confusing me
Take your
because, again...
time to get there.
Right, I'm going to go with Warp 2. Warp 2, setting a course now. Pushes the button.
Sorry. Lieutenant Anara, assemble the command staff for a briefing in 5 minutes.
Nara just looks at you confused, because again, this is the poor ops manager you keep dumping on, and he's like, all right, sir, senior staff meeting in 5 minutes. Got it.
And then he just goes into the briefing room, and it's just he's gonna use this guy as if he's like his just his secretary. That's just what he considers the ops position to do.
Right. All right. And I actually have fully made Kagach daughter of Kakloth now, so she has a full character sheet. So if you ever want to see what she's got going on, she's got a full character sheet now.
Speaking of which, does she actually heal any Samara from that little interaction, or is that flavor?
Just for flavor.
Okay.
But yeah, do you want Kagach there in the senior staff meeting as well, or do we just want to not have medical there? Because I think technically she might be the ranking officer when it comes to medicine.
I am happy for someone to say, oh, by the way, you haven't got a ranking officer in the medical department, and so it's like, assign whoever's the most senior position. Sorry, the person with the most experience, not the most senior, the person with the most experience.
All right, well, since Kagach, daughter of Kakloth, is a senior chief, that would be her. She's enlisted, but hey, that just tells you she works for a living. Hey,
yeah.
Military joke for anybody who actually has had that before. Anyway, so we do another, superhero and we're now in the conference room with everybody. And Kagach has had some time to study the phenomenon. And she goes to, actually no, because we said that this ship is actually equipped with holo emitters on the conference table. So instead of going to the screen like Geordi would in a next generation briefing, she just sort of conjures up an image of the moon above the conference table and points at a glowing spot on the northern continent and says, Well, what I have been able to determine is that these theta waves are coming from a strange structure on this moon. Long-range scans I've cleaned up a little bit, but what I'm able to tell is it looks like some sort of inverted pyramid of some kind. But whatever is inside this structure is the source of these theta waves. But I can confirm for you, sirs, that there are no other life forms that we're aware of, at least of the intelligent kind. It is a Class L, so it's not exactly habitable by normal life. But if you all want to go ashore, I will have to provide triox injections for all of you to survive down there.
Are the theta wave emissions having any negative impact on our health?
Well, as far as I can tell, everybody's in a really good mood. Well, except Soja, sir. Sadly, I don't really have a baseline for you yet.
This is my baseline.
Very good. Writing down grumpy at all times, sir. And she winks.
I'm laughing. Soldier isn't. He turns to Kajak and he goes, "Nurse,
Sir,
is that right? Okay, is that the how I?"
Oh, you can either call me nurse, you can call me senior chief. Just don't call me for dinner, I believe is the human expression.
Chief Kajak, Kagach. And he because he's never met this person before, haven't seen her before, and so he's like gonna get a name wrong. He goes, "Are you aware of Grey Alert?"
I am.
Will this protocol block the theta wave?
Unknown, but we could try.
Do it.
All right. She dramatically pulls out a tricorder and pushes the button. Nothing happens. Well, at least, I mean, obviously the force fields go up and the whole gray alert happens. But after a moment, she looks at her tricorder and goes, well, the theta waves are still there. But no one's reporting any problems.
He steeples his fingers and he looks at everybody. I am not comfortable with a potential psychic attack from a new avenue. We must have a protection against this, even if it is benign and a form of communication. I want a defense, and I also want an antenna or something of that description to receive these theta waves in a non-harmful way. Solutions.
And I think the nurse actually looks at Vauban and says, well, from what I remember, Lieutenant Vauban, you were instrumental in creating the modifications to the transporter inhibitors to block the field. Am I misremembering?
Well, no, but that was just specifically to interrupt the subspace connection that the field, well, was relying on to have influence on us. This sounds just... I mean, doesn't this sound like empathic abilities?
And Kagach looks at her tricorder and goes, you know, Captain, now that she mentions it, I am seeing some similarities in the same sort of empathic abilities that Betazoids and even that Samara has.
While not particularly advisable, I could always try and extend my own mind. We do have a medical officer here who can restrain me if necessary.
I'd like to say that a drop of blood, just for flavor, I'd like to say that a drop of blood falls from Samara's mouth as she says that.
And
falls right onto the conference table, and I can just imagine Soja just glaring at it.
And she just smirks. There is just a grin at Kagach because it's been a long time since Samara's got hurt, and she wants a rematch.
Hmm.
And I'm sure
Boban,
that is just winding everybody up, but there's almost Klingon levels of jovial coming from her.
Boban, I'm wondering if there's any way to change or adapt the standard cortical monitors that are used in sickbay to regulate theta emissions, because they normally, I mean, theta emissions. If I'm not correct me if I'm wrong, Kagak, are about monitoring sleep, or they regulate sleep.
That would be more or less what they're usually used for, yes.
So since the cortical monitors already have a way of interacting with theta wave emissions, maybe they could be adapted somehow as either an antenna or a defensive device.
And Kagach goes into her medical kit, pulls out a cortical node, and says, well, I mean, Vauban, if you would like to assist me, or maybe I'll assist you, we could make a prototype right here and now.
I suppose we could. I mean, it's not really my field of expertise, but if you can help me with it, I'm sure I can figure something out.
Certainly. And from a mechanical standpoint, Vauban, this is a control and engineering. Interestingly, you will have a focus. I'm not going to tell you what the focus is, but you have a focus. And the difficulty will be a 3, but you also have at least one assist from Kagach, who is assisting you with a control and medicine on her part, and she does not have a focus. So if somebody wants to roll for Kagach.
What about the trait we have?
Oh, the trait, yes. The trait will lower the difficulty to a 2.
And Soju was going to say something too.
Just for setting up scenes, Soldier's going to assign them a one of the modular science bays, whatever they're called. Because we have got.
Yeah, we've got one that we turned into a Borg thing. So yeah.
We have modular laboratories, so I'm going to assign one of those to those people to go and like Asrian, Nom, Vauban, and Kagach. All 3 of those can assemble a team, and they go off, and there's probably some kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Oh God, why is my brain so shit? Oh, it's because I'm old. That's why.
We all feel
what do you call it? A montage is the word I'm looking for, of them all doing whatever they're doing, and everybody else goes back to wherever. So sorry, I'm just setting up a scene is all, because I'm also use the modular labs because that's what they're there for.
Yeah, no, I like it. So what I would say is that since you are using a modular laboratory, the difficulty comes down yet again to a difficulty of 1.
Cool.
Now, since it has been a hot minute, now somebody is rolling for Kagach, hopefully. Again, she is doing a control medicine, no focus. But if Asrian wants to assist as well, as a reminder, the second assist does require either a momentum or a threat spend for the assist. And that also includes the ship, because you could also have the ship assist you as well, but you would have to spend a additional momentum or a threat for the Acheron to assist you.
I think making the trait was assistance enough for me.
Okay. I think it's only 1 dice for an assist, isn't it?
Correct. 1 die for an assistance.
Right, I'll re-roll that up. Nothing from Kagach.
Didn't you just roll twice just now?
Yeah, I rolled 2 dice by mistake.
Yeah. So we'll take the first 10. We'll take the first 10. I'll be nice. We can say that first 10 you rolled is 1 success.
Okay. So for my focuses, I think I actually have 2, not just 1. One with manufacturing, due to my experience with all sort of stuff from the trade business my family comes from, and reverse engineering, since Kagash is helping me out and guiding me and adjusting the cortical monitor. I think that applies.
Okay.
And I guess I will just do 2 dice.
Okay. Okay, well, that is 2 successes, adding on to Kagach's 3. That means you get 2 momentum back for your trouble. And yeah, Vauban, again, miracle worker engineer. You work together and have a prototype. And I think Kagach goes, "Ha! That was good work! Who's going to test it, though?" And I think everybody just sort of slowly looks over at Azrian.
Why do that's like one of those things where you're not paying attention and everyone steps back and like you get volunteered.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm probably the oldest here, so I'll volunteer.
Very good. I will be monitoring you during the entire thing. If I notice any abnormalities, I will pull you out immediately.
Or Ta'an could just give me a nerve pinch.
Don't worry,
And-
we've got you, Azrian.
I think if it were possible for a Klingon to imitate a Vulcan eyebrow raise, they would, but on a Klingon, it's just Gowron eyes. So, you know. But yeah, Azrian, I just want to confirm you are putting on the modified cortical monitor and turning it on.
Yeah. Yeah, so I will put that, I'll move my hair back a little bit, my braids, and I think it goes behind the ear. Is that what they used to do?
I think it goes on the,
Yeah.
I think it goes right onto your forehead is the one I'm thinking of.
Oh, okay. Well,
Isn't it like on the side, like the temple?
Yeah, it's like somewhere on the side of the temple, if I remember correctly.
Either that or
Alright.
behind the ear, yeah.
all right. So I'll remove my hat and let my hair come down and I'll put it on.
Okay. So, you put it on, turns on. Nothing really happens at first. It's getting to the point that you're like, I don't think it's working. But then you hear a very friendly voice. And it's the same sort of childlike glee, same sort of like laughing child. And it says, "Hello! It's good that you finally are able to contact me. Can I ask your assistance?" And that's where we're going to end today's episode because I'm an asshole.
No.
Okay.
Every time.
It's like finally an actual mission kind of thing.
The plot thickens.
The plot does thicken indeed. But yeah, I'm glad we finally got to play again. Like, scheduling has been kicking our asses mostly on my end, but I'm just glad we got to play again. It was great playing with you all.
Always a
Yay.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Yes.
You guys rock.
Oh, love it. All right. Well, Twitch, stick around because we're going to raid somebody, but YouTube, we'll see you later. Bye-bye, YouTube.
Bye, YouTube.
Bye-bye.